Hey everybody, I want to do a short lecture on the four components of a lesson plan. In this module, you will create a lesson plan. We're going to give you a resource to do that, Dynamic PE ASAP. And when you're going through that process, you'll see these four components. It's part of that website. The website is designed by the author of this book, so it all fits together really well. All this information is in your book on page 53, but I just want to walk through the four parts of a lesson plan. The first one is your introductory activity. Your introductory activity is really what you're going to use as your warm-up, but it's not just to prepare your students physically for class, but it's also to prepare them emotionally and psychologically for class. They need to recognize they're in a PE class, their body needs to get warmed up, they need to be paying attention, they need to know that you're fixing to have some instructions and they're going to have to work, and they're going to have to work hard and put in their best effort. And they also are going to have fun. So sometimes they come in your class and they may not be excited about PE, and this is an opportunity to get them excited and get their emotions ready for PE class. Part of this is preparing for management. So throughout the whole PE class, you'll have to manage the students. So one thing that you need to make sure you do every day as part of your introductory activity is you need to move and freeze the class at least 3 times. You'll see a video in the next module about how to do this. But basically, I would have the students maybe jogging around inside the gym. I would blow a whistle, or I would say freeze, and then all the students would stop and get in a freeze position, and they would face me. And that gives me control and management of the class. Anytime I want, I can yell the word freeze, or I can blow my whistle, and everybody will stop and they will face me. And that's important. Well, I actually have them stand and put their hands on their knees while they do it, but you'll see that in the video next week. If you do it the first time you do that, you'll notice that some of the students may not do a real good job of it. So you'll have them move again. The next time, instead of jogging, maybe they'll be galloping. And then you'll say freeze, or you'll blow your whistle, and more of them will stop and freeze, and you can tell some students, hey, you did a really good job with this. And you continue that process until you have everybody's attention focused on you and your instruction. And once you do that, you know that they're ready to follow instructions. You can also offer some activities here that are going to prepare them for what you're doing in class. So maybe that day your focus is going to be jumping rope, and you'll go ahead and have them do some jumping types of exercises, doing some arm circles or some different things that are going to prepare their body and their mind for jumping rope. We call them some preparation activities, or an anticipatory set, so that you put in some of the basic movements in your introductory activity, and then later in the lesson it'll all follow along with it. So you'll have one theme going through. So that's your introductory part. So that's the first part of a lesson. The second part is the physical fitness. So after you warm up, that's when you're going to do the physical fitness part of your lesson plan. You'll have various exercises there for strength, for aerobic activity, for flexibility, for bone strength. There'll be different activities that you include in that fitness portion. You'll have to make sure you have a lot of variety in your activities. For example, if you have students doing push-ups, maybe they're students who are not capable of doing a normal push-up. So then you'll need to have a lead-up activity. So maybe instead of doing a push-up, those students will do a plank, which is a more simple activity. But the better they get at doing planks, the better it will prepare them to do push-ups. These are all these. If you don't know these words that I'm talking about, if you don't know what a plank is, just go to YouTube and type in fitness and a plank, and you'll see people teaching how to do a plank. The internet is a great resource for you to use, and YouTube is certainly a great resource for any types of fitness and PE types of games. And you'll see that I use it a lot in this course. One of the things that you're teaching when you do the fitness part of the lesson plan is you're teaching the students the different types and the amount of activity they need to do in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So they'll learn how to gauge the intensity of activity. They'll learn how to gauge the sets and the reps of an activity. So they'll learn how to figure those things out in order to create their own type of fitness plan as they grow older. The third part is your lesson focus. There's a lot of different things that you'll use. You'll have a lot of variety. Someday you may do gymnastics, you may do jumping exercises, you might do throwing a frisbee, dribbling a basketball. There's lots of different things that you could use for your lesson focus. In your lesson focus, you're going to teach them how to perform particular skills. So if I were teaching them, for example, basketball skills, we may start out just with basic ball handling things. So we may start out just dribbling, learning to dribble with both hands. So I start out with something really, really simple. And if they get good where they can dribble with both hands, the next thing in the sequence would be dribbling 2 basketballs at one time. So I'd have one in my right hand and then I'd have one in my left hand. But there's a sequence to that. And then you would move into passing types of drills. But you learn them in a sequential order from simple to complex. And once they get good enough at one skill, then you move on to the next skill. And there's lots of variety that you can use. If you were to go to YouTube and type in basketball dribbling activities, you would find thousands of videos on different activities that you can use. You could use with your class, but you're trying to teach them the correct form of performing these skills in your lesson focus. That'll become a lot more clear to you when you create your lesson plan online. The last part, the fourth part is your closing activity. A lot of times it's a game. So let's say that I was doing basketball handling skills, dribbling skills with students. At the end, for my closing activity, we may do a game where we're using dribbling skills. We may use a game that I call knockout, where everybody has a ball and they're on half the court. Maybe I have 15 students and they're all dribbling their basketball, and they have to keep up with their basketball while trying to knock other people's basketballs out of bounds. That way they're doing a game, but they're having to dribble. They're having to use both hands to dribble. They're having to dribble the ball on one side of their body while they keep their opponent on the other side of the body. So they're having to use all these skills in a game activity. Another option for a closing activity is you could use it to kind of dial things down a little bit. If your day in the gym or your day with physical education has been a very high intensity day, and the students are really tired and they're breathing really hard and their emotions are really high, they're really excited, before you send them back to a class, you may take a couple minutes and do some activities that may calm them down. So you might end up doing some different stretching activities or playing some games in slow motion and doing some things that bring down their level of breathing, that bring down the level of excitement a little bit and calm the students down a little bit before they go back to the next class. So you've got 4 parts to your lesson plan. You have an introductory activity, you have a physical fitness activity, you have a lesson focus, and then you have a closing activity, which is often a game. So those are the 4 components of a lesson plan.